That's Freddy Supers. And go overlay 1.
How we looking, Bob?
Oh, you look great, and I think we are ready to begin whenever Rich arrives.
Thank you, Glenda. You give my best to Jim now, won't you?
This is for you, Mr. Dawes.
Oh, thank you. And call me Rich. Bob, nice to see you again.
It's always a pleasure, Rich.
Bill, Tony. So good to see you, my friend. Are you nervous?
No, I've done my preparations.
You always do. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, folks, we are ready to begin. In 3, 2.
It's always a pleasure to talk with Amway distributors, whether we are with you in your hometown or whether you are visiting us here at Ada.
Jay will be backgrounding you on the progress at the company, and I'll be back with you shortly to tell you a little bit more about the way we see the Amway sales plan in this day and how it looks for the future.
We've always built for the future right from the beginning. But today, building and planning for the future is a gigantic and expensive job.
We know, as all of you know, that the corporate growth can only be as great as the individual growth of all of the distributors who sell Amway products.
Amway entered the decade of the 60s with its first building of 2,400 square feet. But it's entering the decade of the 70s with over 500,000 square feet built or under construction. That's 200 times as much floor space. Our eyes are always on the future. Hundreds of persons at the Amway office are at work every day on projects for next year and for the year after to ensure that we will always be ready for the dynamic growth of this great organization. That's our challenge, and yours, as we enter the decade of the 1970s together.
In 1959, Jay and Rich started Amway, and from there, it grew at a breathtaking pace. As the field of business owners grew, Jay and Rich continually reinvested in the business, increasing production, distribution channels, and research and development for an ever-expanding product line. First decade alone, the corporate offices grew from a tiny service station at the base of a floodplain to over 500,000 square feet of office, manufacturing, and warehouse space sprawling across Ada, Michigan. Jay and Rich's vision drove Amway forward. The question was, were they seeing the future or reaching beyond their grasp?
It's hard to really appreciate how bold they were, especially in those days.
You know, a lot of people see what Amway became and they assume it was always headed there, you know. It just took off, right? But the early days were anything but easy.
They could have stopped and said, okay, we made it. We're big enough. They could have said that the risk started to get too great to expand further and just focus on maintaining what they had.
They were investing everything back into the company because they believed in Amway and they believed in the AVOs, and that's where they were going to put their money. They had this confidence.
My dad could see things and sort of go, oh, I think that has a potential to many other people. He was attracted originally to the biodegradable cleaning products, which nobody sold at that time. Now it's everywhere. And that's how that all began.
They knew that they had something special, not only for themselves, but for many other people as well. There's a story that a business owner told. It was early on in Amway, but we're growing by leaps and bounds at this point. It was often that Dan Rich would bring out top distributors to have meetings and tour the manufacturing facility as well as the warehouses. And there was a group of maybe half a dozen distributors that were touring the warehouse with him. And this distributor is looking at the long rows and rows and asked Dad, what if in 30 years, people have machines to do all the cleaning and people don't need these products anymore? My dad didn't miss a beat. He simply turned to resume his tour and he actually replied, then we'll sell those machines. I think that kind of says everything. Dan and Rich were like that. They knew that it would keep growing, and they had confidence.
The early days of the Amway business, certainly it starts in the U.S. It's Amway, American Way, it's all these sorts of things. And then, you know, we live in Michigan, and so there's a lot of people who are, you know, connected in Canada. And I said, well, maybe we should bring the business to Canada.
So that's what led us to expand to other countries as well. But China was always sort of this dream, this possibility.
At the time, the potential was enormous. 1 billion people just beginning to open to the West. Most companies thought it was too risky. This was the 1980s and 90s. Amway had already expanded into Canada, Australia, and the UK, all important markets. But China? That was a whole different ballgame.
I think they saw a similar hunger, a similar hustle in the people of China. So China was beginning to open up to the West, and increasingly, everyday Chinese citizens were looking for and wanting a way to make something for themselves. But they needed an opportunity. So we made the leap. It wasn't long before that, before we had offices and warehouses and thousands of Chinese Amway business owners.
It was uncharted territory, culturally and politically. The leap into China showed just how bold and future-minded they were.
We did very well. Actually, in the very first year, we already do $100 million in sales. This was a market that, you know, people are looking for opportunities. They love quality products. We entered, you know, big time. But then our method of marketing, direct selling, is very new to China.
Things were growing even better than we had hoped until we got the call. Direct selling was banned in China.
Everything shut down. The manufacturing halted, product just sitting there.
Everything froze overnight. Conveyor belts silent. Thousands of workers in limbo. It was devastating.
All those businesses, all those families.
China was an extremely ambitious expansion. You know, especially at the time, we invested so much in the market. From a China standpoint, very much confusion. They'd never seen a business like ours, a business that has many, many people selling products in all parts of their country. And that was, I think that made them a little bit nervous.
So that direct selling ban came down in 1998 in April. I remember the day very clearly. So Rich was in the meeting, and he listened to the situation, and you know what he said? Very, very clear, short, simple message. His first line is, Eva, we must persist. What I learned from Rich is don't make things complicated. So we went back to the government and said, we're willing to change our mode of operation. And so at the end, we were able to relaunch and do business again. This time we just opened shops.
It was a real challenging time. But we did persist. We didn't give up. We found a solution.
He believed the future was still there, and he wanted to push forward.
But at our 5-year anniversary, Rich traveled to the market, and I happened to be with him. And we were at the manufacturing site.
And Gan pointed out, Gan is the head of manufacturing for us, and he pointed out to Rich, oh, that's the site that belonged to Kellogg's. Instantly, Rich gave the response, oh, that site will belong to us very soon.
We all said, well, Rich, we're just kind of getting through the direct selling ban. We're operational again, and things are going pretty good. And he goes, no, you better buy that land right now, because this business is going to be huge here in China. And sure enough, we did buy the land, and we needed that to support the tremendous growth.
Somehow, Rich reads into the future with so much confidence. I simply don't know how he knew, but he knew.
They had something about them that could see beyond the current challenges and believe that there was a better future there.
They were never satisfied with maintaining. They were always looking forward and always pushing us to do better, be better, look for the next best thing.
They kept doing the same thing. See an opportunity, chase it down with all your effort. run into a problem, find a solution.
They were truly trying to do something very unique and very excellent, and we have seen spread. It was like this seed that Amway was, and now it's just blossomed. It almost brings a tear to my eye, and I go, yeah, that was my dad.
Rich is a very visionary person, and he has the big picture in his mind all the time.
His nature was ideas, it was innovation, it was forward movement, it was opportunity and possibility and encouragement.
My dad was an incredibly disciplined and hardworking person.
He tended to not be frustrated in terms of the past because he was always looking forward.
Even when they were older and they were not even, quote unquote, a vote on the board any longer, they were the ones who were still pushing us to make strong, visionary, forward-looking decisions. They never gave up. They never stopped thinking forward.
Looking back, I think they have gone through, roadblocks over the years, and nothing is easy. But they keep on fighting. They keep on with this winning spirit, and keep on pushing forward.
For me, actually, the lesson of my dad and Jay is that vision isn't just seeing the future, it's having the courage to step into it. They showed us that curiosity and boldness, when anchored in values, can carry you through uncertainty.
That was that vision that they had. That was something that they've modeled for us, and that's something that we all have tried to do in our own lives.
If you want to honor their legacy, that's what you carry forward.
There will always be challenges, there will always be adversities, there will always be obstacles. But what I learned from Jay and Rich is, if your goalpost is clear enough, you simply have to overcome and not give up. That's the kind of determination that is necessary for anybody to be successful, to live life to its fullest.
You keep looking ahead, you keep asking what's possible, and you never be afraid to build the future.
Of course, it's gonna take a lot of work. I know that. But can't you see it? Hundreds of distributors still riding the excitement from the rally pouring in through those doors. They are amazed by the beauty and elegance of this old lady restored to her former glory.
What about the weeks between rallies? No one comes downtown anymore.
Well, then we have to give them a reason to come. Not just a hotel, an arena, a performance hall, restaurants, shops. But first, we need a world-class hotel. And the Pantland was the place to be. Dancing, the music, the food, the energy. This place provided an experience that rivaled New York, Chicago, even London.
London, huh? Last I checked, it's not exactly the River Thames out there.
No, it's the Grand. The Amway Grand. Well, we can work on the name, but can't you see it? Look, when Ford comes to town to dedicate his museum, where's he gonna stay, huh? The motel up the road? No! He will stay here, in a suite, at the Amway Grand.
I share your vision, my friend, I do. But it's got to make sense with the numbers, too. What do you say, Mike? You run the numbers?
I did, and I'm sorry, but on paper it seems like a very bad investment. All the wiring and the plumbing will need to be redone. We're talking millions and millions of dollars in renovations. Once it's finished, it'll take years to make any sort of profit. It honestly would be much cheaper to just level the building and start from scratch.
Well, if we don't believe in our city, who will? It's going to take a lot of work.
Is that a yes?
The 1970s and 80s saw the decline of the American city. Businesses were moving out, families were heading to the suburbs. The streets, once full of energy, were now places you pass through, not destinations to visit. Developers and investors had their eyes set everywhere but downtown. But Jay and Rich believed a strong downtown meant a strong future for the entire community. And if no one else was willing to take that first step, it might need to be them.
When Rich called me and said, Mike, I said, I really would like you to come out and help me look at this investment. We're thinking of buying the Pentland Hotel. And I went, you're going to what?
The Pentland Hotel was done in the early 1900s and had been around for a long time, but it had been let go.
I was a young accountant. I felt comfortable doing the financial statements and the tax returns with them. But boy, when it came to a hotel, that was a whole different thing.
It was musty smelling, old carpet, very dated. It hadn't been invested in years.
Plumbing, woodwork, all that. It was going to be like starting over. In our conversations, they had already told me about how embarrassed they were about driving down Monroe Avenue, right on our main street. Many of the buildings were empty. A number of them were boarded up. It was not impressive and a pretty sad story, so it affected them. They wanted to make a difference in the Grand Rapids community, to change our image and to start bringing downtown back. They had a vision, and they were willing to take a risk. My job was to review the numbers and to share the financial analysis and to make sure they understood the impact financially. And the impact financially was not good. They wanted to make the investment not just from an Amway standpoint, but very much from a community standpoint.
They had this vision. They said, let's build a hotel. Their whole thing was, we've been blessed. We love our community. Let's give back to it. And the Pentland Hotel and now the Amway Grand Plaza, that was the genesis of all of this downtown development.
They've lived in Grand Rapids their entire life. They wanted to be able to help and to add to that. And if they could help Grand Rapids become a nicer place to live, a more fun place to live, something for more and more people, then they wanted to do that. A lot of their investment in downtown Grand Rapids came from just wanting to make it better for others.
When I moved here, their vision was compelling to me. Economic development in Grand Rapids was non-existent in the early 80s. Jay, in '83, convened a group of their compatriots and their fellow CEOs and said, what do we do about our hometown and our economic development in our city? And then they started the right place. If you look at this community, it's here today because of what they started and how they brought people along.
Rich and Jay, they were confident, and they were both true entrepreneurs, and they knew that the private sector had to lead what was going on in West Michigan, but they had to do that by bringing the academics and the government along with them. It was part of their plan to do the right thing and to be a catalyst about changing Grand Rapids, not just the downtown of Grand Rapids, but changing the Grand Rapids community.
And what was really cool about it was as soon as Dad and Rich started doing some of these things, it inspired others to do the exact same thing. Grand Rapids today is not the Grand Rapids I grew up in. It's a thriving city.
One thing that Dad and Jay were always good at individually and collectively is doing the right thing for the people, not only that they dealt with on an individual basis, but for the communities that they lived in. I remember years ago when there was an issue with what's called East Bank Towers at the time, downtown here in Grand Rapids. Dan and Jay had donated the land, and the builders built a big building, but did not do a very good job. Not too long after it was completed, we started to notice that it was starting to fall apart. Bricks were falling off. Plumbing was going bad. The building was a total disaster. Took a look at what it was going to cost to fix the whole project, but figured out it'd actually be cheaper just to level it and make it a nice parking lot. So we were sitting around, I remember Dan and Jay and others was talking about the demolition, how it would explode it and bring it down and make a movie and make some fun out of it, make it interesting. As normal, Jay is sitting at the other table being quiet during a lot of this thing and just sort of shaking his head. And then Dad looked at him and said, Jay, really, what do you think, Jay? And so Jay just quietly says, no, we don't blow things up, we build things up. And that's what happened.
I just felt lucky to be in the room with the two of them, to hear how they talk with each other, the respect they had for each other.
Rich and Jay were two very different personalities, but complementary personalities. You have this very outgoing, very incredible speaker, and you had this very quiet, brilliant, ironic sense of humor man, fantastic listener, and a leader in a very different way than Rich.
Rich had this way about him. He just could put words into a vision that we could all see and understand. And most importantly, that vision we'd want to get behind. Jay was always very analytical, very insightful. People wanted to get Jay's opinion on things.
He was a very good listener, and when he finally spoke after he had listened to everybody's opinion, people paid close attention. Jay and Rich had great trust in each other. They were very, very loyal. And that loyalty translated to their community.
They made Grand Rapids a much bigger field with a lot more excitement and opportunities to enjoy than cities our size anywhere in the world.
When we come downtown today, you have theater, you have opera, you have symphony, you have hotels. The Van Andels started the Van Andel Institute. They told Jay, you should put this on the campus of the University of Michigan. To which Jay said, that's not my hometown. It was just that passion of continuing to make this city and their hometown and put it back on the map, and we're on it.
They've created opportunities for us to compete way beyond our fighting weight.
We are leading the way, and people are coming here all the time saying, how did you do this? Collaboration and private-public partnerships and a committed private sector. And they set the bar for that. Their commitment to this community was amazing, and we should all be very grateful for that, because they didn't have to do that. They could have done this in many different places. They said, this is our hometown. And we want to support our hometown and make it a better place.
They always wanted to do the right thing every time. It wasn't for the profit of doing that, but it was for the impact of what it was going to do to West Michigan and how our community would start its transition. It still inspires me today to think of what they did and the risks they took back then and the phenomenal impact we've had.
Their heart drove them to make sure that they always did the right thing, and I think a lot of that is based on their faith also, to make sure they did the right thing for people, for individuals, for community. For them, it was crystal clear as to what should be done and why it should be done.
Jay and I and our wives would like to dedicate this hotel to the people of this community who, by their efforts, make this place a great place to live in. All of these things have to do with trying to change the environment in which we live. We're going to make our cities alive again. We have got to find people who live in those communities who care. We'll have to develop a new sense of pride and purpose. So once they come to a sense of pride in their community, then there's all sorts of volunteer groups that come together.
to make it happen, because we are here and we're going to make a difference.
10 years after the Amway Grand Hotel opened, we had a celebration to recognize the 10th anniversary. Jay, who was not as outspoken, came up to me and put his arm around me. And he said, I had no idea how accurate you'd be about us losing money for so many years. But we are so darn glad that we made that investment.
Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago, right? Rich and Jay are no longer here to sit in that shade, but they planted those trees anyway.
You know, I really think that success is measured by the lives that you impact. And when you're committed to doing the right thing, good things happen. I've never forgotten that lesson with the towers, because I've learned that whenever you're in a tough situation, you don't just blow it up, you figure it out, build it up.
That was that ever looking for something else that he could contribute to. Rich was the same way. Always, what else can I contribute to help make the world a better place for other people?
You know, they thought about people, about community, and about something that could be created that would outlast them for the next generation and beyond. And if you want to make change, you have to get involved. You have to engage. You got to be willing to listen. They lived life to the fullest and made such a positive impact for others, but they enjoyed every step of the way. And we can all learn from that.